You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhaeghe was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Ritchie scores! Gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you to break down the IceDogs' 5-4 victory over the Central Division rival Brampton Steelheads here on a Friday night at the Meridian Centre. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in live tonight on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel and those listening the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Please give us a follow at Dog Pound Podcast on X. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. So, Cam, this one was a big one for the IceDogs after we had talked on our big monthly recap show about them needing to get back on track and needing to clean up some things on the defensive side after the lopsided loss to Flint and then the blown lead up in Peterborough, where they still got a point, but they realistically should have came away with two on Sunday afternoon up in Peterborough. For them to respond here on home ice against a very formidable offense and a team that they're now 2-0-1 against so far this season, you got to be pretty pleased with the bounce back.
Yeah, just a really ugly stretch of hockey over the last week or so, culminating in that obviously emotional win for Peterborough and Gavin Bryan in that last one. But yeah, just a great effort from the team to respond at home again after a rough weekend, and they get right back at it. And even though throughout the game they had a bit of a struggle, they give up that 3-1 lead that they had, but they were able to bear down and take down a really good Brampton team that has just, for whatever reason, really struggled this season after being touted as one of the best teams in the country. So 2-0-1 now in the season series against Brampton, and things are looking up a little bit more, especially with Assadourian back in the lineup.
IceDogs get their 16th win of the season, and Brampton was 3 points back of the IceDogs. So, again, now they're up by 5 on those Steelheads in the division, second behind Barrie, who's leading the division, and Brampton could have leapfrogged Sudbury tonight. So, big 2 points in the division. They're going to get to play them again in a few weeks, and that one, the IceDogs could take more opportunity because Martone, Ivan Kovic, Fibiger, Zizlicki, they'll all be gone for the World Juniors, so the IceDogs could really, start to pull away from the Steelheads team, and hopefully they'll be able to put some ground between them, that team, because in the second half, Brampton's going to come out firing. So just looking at it, Cam, and we'll hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau, and as well as returnee forward Alex Assadourian, as you mentioned on our player interview. The IceDogs were without Jack Brody tonight. Something happened in practice, and he's just banged up right now. So he was out of the lineup, so Nick Frasca came in as the sixth defenseman. Before we get to the actual lineup portion of it, now that you're starting to see these guys back in the lineup, and that's something we talked about on our monthly recap, is getting guys back in the positions and slotting everybody in where they should be. We saw, 3 lines tonight that could go up against the Steelheads team, and you got to be pretty pleased if you're the head coach being able to roll 4 forward lines for the whole game, A, not having anybody get injured, and B, not only starting 10 or 11 forwards.
Absolutely, and to be honest, I think that one of the most effective lines they had tonight was their fourth line for the majority of it. They had one sequence that ended up in a goal against, but I thought their fourth line of Crete, Mason Ray, and and Blake Aerosmith were fantastic in the first period and in the third period. I thought that they really brought the energy, and for the most part, especially early on in the game, they were the ones that carried the play in the offensive zone the most, and I think that's where you really see the advantage when everyone comes back healthy. It's not so much that the fourth line can go up against other teams' top lines. It's that the fourth line can dominate the other team's fourth line, and that's exactly what they did tonight. And, the forward core for the first time looking, almost healthy. We're just missing Matthew Paris, who we've only seen for, 4 games in the season so far. So it'll be huge to get everyone back. And I got to be honest with you, looking at the lineup, things get a little awkward when Paris comes back, because I think that everyone has had a regular role, and I don't really know on the forward core who would come out, to be honest with you. So that'll be an interesting take. And again, I think it was Ben who had mentioned that maybe end of December would be the timetable for Paris to come back. So we don't have to make any decisions yet, and they have a long road trip coming up. But I thought that all 4 lines looked good. They all had their moments. Kevin was with Loshko and Brady Wasslin, so he moves up to the first line. And I didn't see a ton of chemistry so far in that one. But again, you have to remember that first line, for the most part, was going up against one of the best lines in the OHL, because they had to go head-to-head with Porter Martone the entire game, essentially, as well as Luke Misa and Carson Rakoff. So, that's no easy task. So I think that was just a really tough matchup in their first game, with this iteration. The one thing I did like is that Zada and Robrick, we were wondering how that would be affected because Assadourian came back. Assadourian started when he got injured, was the second-line center. Zada played down in the lineup, but Zada is now with 23 points in 27 games. So he is almost a point-per-game player now, and just has really come on as of late. But I did like to see Brady Wasslin with Robrick and Zada, because I think they had the best chemistry so far throughout the season. But Levin slots in there. Wasslin moves up to the top line to try and finally find a right winger to go with them. I think that's the one thing, is that Paris, maybe he doesn't have the flash as some of these other guys, even including Wasslin, but I think that he just fits with that line really well, and again, just kind of moves everyone down and puts them in their place. But Assadourian, great start, and it was funny because I look up and you see number 8, and it was immediate that he made an impact. So he was flanked by Gallianov and Sean Doherty. So like I said, all 4 lines were able to hop over the boards. There was no double shifting and 2 fringe guys that were filling in for some injuries. This was 4 forward lines, and we saw full use of it in this game.
And our prep list there, as Cam's talking about, is brought to you by Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. You tried the best, or tried the rest, now it's time to try the best. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving Niagara community since 2013. Best pizza and wing combos anywhere in Niagara. Finishing off with the lineup here, Cam. Owen Flores started for the IceDogs. 16th straight game in the net, I believe, for the IceDogs goaltender, Charlie Robertson. Still, he got in some game action, but I think he's still trying to get to 100% again, and hopefully we'll see him in a game soon. But as far as the rest of the lineup with Jack Brody out, Nick Frasca got in the lineup, and he's been in and out. The Watcher and him have kind of been rotating as that 7th defenseman in the lineup while they've had so many injuries. Frasca had a prominent role tonight as the 6th defenseman. What did you notice from number 78 tonight? He
didn't make any mistakes, really. I thought that he played a clean game. Didn't really notice him, which is the best, I think, when you're in a situation like that. When you come in, you're not expected to provide any offense or anything like that, I don't think, especially filling in for Brody, on that third pair. And, I thought that he did a good job. I noticed him in the first period, able to clean up the junk in front of the net, and, really played a quiet, good defensive game. So no complaints there from him. And, again, that just goes to show a massive difference over last year, where the fringe guys were put into really tough spots where they might not have been ready for the OHL. But, when there is an injury or there is a game missed, we have extra guys now that can come out of the press box, and they actually, are able to do an adequate job. So shout out to Frasca. I think he did great in today's game, and, we'll hope to get Brody back soon, though.
Yeah, Ben Boudreau had to kind of shuffle up the decor a little bit. You had Van Vliet with Wysick. Then on the second pair, Callum Chanowski was good to go after he got hit in the head with the puck in Peterborough. So it was nice to see number 7 back out there. He was paired with Matthew Virgilio in that second pair, and then the third pair, Frasca and Blair Scott. I liked Chanowski and Virgilio tonight. I thought that, when you don't notice defensemen, as you say, that's a good thing. Yeah. And I didn't see that pair get beat tonight by any of the big dogs. Again, I think the IceDogs are trying to learn how to play behind their goal line a little bit more on the defensive side. But I liked what I saw from the second pair tonight of Chanowski and Virgilio.
No, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, like I said, all three lines had their moments on the decor as well. I mean, to be fair, Van Vliet and Wysick played a really loud game.
Right.
They were, for the good and bad. There wasn't a lot of bad, but they were definitely the loudest. Van Vliet, we'll get into it in just a little bit, but he was physical as always. Wysick was flying around, and those were the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to the decor, and maybe Van Vliet getting a little feisty. Obviously he plays up in the lineup, but Brody and Wysick are a much different kind of defenseman, whereas Wysick will fly up and get behind the opposing team's goal line quite a bit. Brody not so much. He is offensive, but stays back at the point. So, I thought it was a good game, again, against a very tough opponent who is hungry. Like, they're getting desperate. They have to survive. I don't even know if home ice advantage, you would think you're going to see some teams fall. I think that for the IceDogs, to be honest with you, I wanted to bring that up beforehand, is that I think we talked about in the monthly recap that expectations have changed a little bit after their November, where they slumped a little bit after such an insane start in October, whereas it's not so much win the conference, because they were first in the conference for about 6-7 weeks of the season, and now obviously falling to fourth right now. I think the main focus is to get home ice advantage. Get a home game, get a home series in round number 1, and to do so, they've got to make sure that they hold off Brampton, because they are going to be coming in that second half. So it's good to pile up points now against them, and like you said, you got to take advantage of when half that team is gone.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something if Brampton didn't even get home ice advantage for a team that was number 1 in the
so
CHL?
So disappointing. They've got to be them and Guelph have got to be just really frustrated with how their season's gone.
And just to put it into perspective, Guelph played this Brampton team the other night. Jet Luchenko was -5 in that game. So
yeah,
the IceDogs did a heck of a job tonight against those top-end players that'll be off to the World Juniors. Charlie Hotless, Rafik Dianov were the other scratches tonight for the IceDogs. Get into our game stats tonight, brought to you by Gales Gas, your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. Not just a gas station, they're a local tradition, because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gales with multiple locations across Niagara. Brampton outshot Niagara 34-30 in the end. That was really only skewed from a second period that was 16-9. That second period, to me, came, even though the IceDogs scored a few goals, including one less than 2 minutes in, that second period just felt like, I think we were even saying that feels like a second period in December, where the teams are kind of just feeling each other out. There's not a whole lot of the shots and the high danger scoring chances. A lot of the games played in the neutral zone and just dumping the puck back and forth, kind of like ping pong. And the IceDogs get a good job there. But as far as the shots on net, Owen Flores stopped 30 of 34 tonight.
Well, I mean, that first period, it could have been ugly. There was a few in the first period where Flores was dialed in. There was about, I want to say, 5 of his first 7 saves were of the high danger variety in the first period. And when you think back to that first game, the 4th game of the season, I believe it was the home opener here, Porto Martone scores like 13 seconds into the game, and it felt like that was what was going to happen in this one. But Flores came up huge. I don't really think there was any, again, that were egregious that he's got to have. He kept his team in it, and you can just see that the whole team plays behind him plays a lot better when the confidence with him back in net. So. Like you mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see when he gets a night off. But Ben has said as long as Flores is willing to play, he's going to put him in.
Power play, both teams 1 for 3 tonight. The IceDogs did that power play goal for them was huge at the time. The Ryan Rubrick goal was really technically the game winner in this game after the Steelheads scored late. But what did you see from the specialty teams tonight?
Well, I mean, they couldn't get in the zone. And again, this is a very, very good team. So that being said, they had a hard time getting set up in the offensive zone to get their power play going. But, man, that Rubrick shot, I mean, just a great play in front. And we're going to talk about Zada quite a bit, but he is just taking his game to another level, and it's the style of game that he is playing. But Robrick able to beat Ivan Kovic. That was one he definitely wanted back. I don't know how Robrick was able to beat him. I mean, he's got one of the best shots in the OHL, clearly now 4th in the league in goal scoring. So it's not like it's going to be a weak shot, but just kind of surprising that he was able to get through. Now, Brampton is second last in the league in penalty kills, so maybe you want to see a little bit more, but they were able to take advantage of an important one, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the power play lineup goes, The first unit was Mike Levin with Andre Lashko, Alex Assadourian on the wing with Kevin He at the point with Matthew Virgilio. And then the second unit was Rubrick with Zada and Waslin up front, Doherty and Wysick. Actually, I think it was Doherty up front, Rubrick playing the point with Wysick there. But what did you think of the way that both power plays kind of went tonight?
I think that it was heavily impacted by Brody not playing. I think that, I think that that would definitely change the lines. And again, now that Assadourian's back, he throws a big wrench in the works. You know what I mean? Like, he was the second line center. Now he's the third line center, but he's also probably the team's best face-off man, which we saw, come to fruition later in the game as well. But, I think that they've got to now go through the next few games trying to figure out what those line combos are. They have a lot of pairs. That's the thing. They have a lot of pairs, and they haven't been able to find any trios. And the one trio that they did, I think, was early on in the year, and that was Robrick, Assadourian, and Waslin, and that's no longer going to be a thing, obviously, because Zada and Robrick have been incredible, and you've got, now Waslin playing up with Kevin and Lashko, but we did see Crete get a shot on the first line, and it was a little bit much for a 16-year-old rookie. I think Waslin, his skill set maybe fits in a little bit better, and maybe he's a little bit more ready for that spotlight. But again, I thought it was a quiet game from him. We haven't seen that flair of the offensive yet, but again, they were going hard up against one of the best lines in the OHL.
And Waslin quietly leads all rookies in points.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. You don't hear it, right? It's all about Belches, and I think that we'll hear a lot about it next year. But nonetheless, yeah, he caught up, and he had a slow start, and he's leading rookies in scoring when he missed 3 weeks because of the under-17s. So he has had a fantastic last 10, 15 games. A lot of the players have. We had a lot of struggles, but some of the guys that weren't the top ones, and I think that's the main focus. It hasn't been Kevin. He's quietly going through a little bit of a slump as the adjustment now comes, where it's no longer. Everyone knows that he is the fastest skater, and there is no one that the second he gets the puck, there is no one flat-footed. It is everyone kind of gets on their toes when they see Kevin, wind up from his own zone. And I think that's starting to kind of, he's going to have to go through some adjustments. And not to mention now Kevin with the C, we saw him struggle a little bit in his rookie season dealing with some of the pressure, right? We thought that the first 15 games of his draft year, he was really pressing. And maybe now with the C, maybe he's going through that a little bit right now. But we saw what happened last season after, he got adjusted. He took over and was dominant and ended up going into the fourth round of Winnipeg. So I have no concerns that he is not going to turn it on here. But quiet, and same with Lashko. Lashko's been a little quiet too. That first line has really kind of played second fiddle to the second line because Robrick and Zada have been carrying the load offensively over the last 10, 12 games.
They scored 5 goals tonight. Lashko, Waslin, and Kevin He combined for 0 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And again, that's matchups, though. Robrick, because the line of Kevin and Lashko go up against the first line, Robrick and Zada now get to take advantage of the second, not having to play that line, right? And that is something to pay attention to. That's not that Lashko and Kevin are having rough games, because I don't remember them giving up a goal either. I believe they were all 0 rating.
As far as Kevin He was -2 tonight.
Kevin was -2. Okay.
Yep. And Lashko was -1.
Oh, that first goal. Oh, my
even.
Goodness. We'll get into the scoring summary, but that was a pretty play. Raykov, Misa, and Porter Martone all touched the puck. That was gross.
But
I got to be honest with you.
I don't know many lines in the NHL, or OHL. Jet Luchenko was -5 against these guys.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
I think that he, Lashko, and Waslin did a good enough job playing up against that line, because not many people can match up to that top line for the Steelheads.
No, exactly. I mean, there's not many teams that have a fast enough skater to deal with Kevin,
Yep.
And, I think that, again, easier times will come for them, and they're going to have their games. But I think where they're going to see a lot of their improvement is on the power play. I think that once the power play gets clicking, Lashko, we saw at the beginning of the season, just hammered so many one-timers from that face-off dot. Kevin will get his points there because I feel like they just haven't had a click offensively over the last little while.
And lastly, face-offs. 33-31 in favor of the IceDogs. Lashko 12 of 25. Assadourian, as you mentioned, 10 of 15. Zada 6 of 15. Mason Ray 5 of 7. So another positive outing for Mason Ray on the face-off dot. Did anything catch your eye there before we move on?
Well, like I said, the fourth line played fantastic. They had a rough stretch, I believe, in the it was in the beginning of the third period that did lead to a goal that was kind of ugly, and I believe it was the tying goal, which was tough to see. But I thought that, I thought they looked so good, and it's great to see that, you've got a fourth line center in Ray who can actually win the draw. That's important. Again, they start with possession, especially given it's the fourth line when you hard match against another team's fourth line. But in terms of face-offs, when all the pressure was on, we had they almost tied it up, and there was two key draws, and it was Assadourian that took the draw to win, and he won both of them to ice the game. So that's something to keep in mind, and just how important it is to get Assadourian back. He might be listed as the third line center in this game, but when everything mattered, Assadourian was on the ice, and he was the center. Loshko and Zada were on the wing.
We'll get to our scoring summary tonight, brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. The IceDogs got on the board early, a minute 28 in, and it was the return of number 8, Alex Assadourian, getting the IceDogs on the board early.
Really something they need to concentrate on, Steve, as far as protecting the D zone. That's been troublesome for them as far as shots per game and goals per game.
The scratches are a good news, bad news situation for Niagara. There's the good news. Alex Assadourian scores! Welcome back to the lineup! Assadourian opens the scoring!
Audio goal highlights are courtesy of YourTV. Catch the IceDogs at home and on the road on YourTV Niagara, exclusively on Cogeco.
It was so funny because I was looking down and I looked up and Assadourian had the puck, and I immediately went, I forgot Assadourian was back in the lineup, and he immediately buries one. Just so great to see him back. We went so long without him that you just kind of forget. I think when a player has a long injury, you just kind of like, okay, this is the team now, And getting him back was just such a sigh of relief to watch from a fan perspective and just for someone who supports the team because he is a great OHLer. Not everyone's going to make the NHL, but he is a fantastic OHLer. And just an impactful player at both ends of the ice, and he is one of the hardest workers on the ice. His legs never stop moving, and it was great to see him get a goal almost immediately.
Sean Doherty and Callum Chinowski assist on Assadourian's 5th of the season. Great to see number 8 get back out there and make an immediate impact. The Steelheads scored a nice 2-on-1 goal from Rakoff and Misa later in the period, and then so it was 1-1 after the first. And another early goal for the IceDogs, minute 28 in the first, and now a minute 48 in the second. And it was Ethan Zada being able to find Noah Van Vliet, somehow finds himself on a breakaway. Doesn't score on the first shot, but gets his own rebound, and the big overage defenseman gets his second goal of the season. That was really nice to see.
I believe it was Van Vliet. They had coincidental minors, and I think it was 4-on-4, and he came out of the box and stayed on, and Zada was able to find him. Van Vliet had the inside on him, and it was the slowest breakaway that you'll see. But he makes a great move on one of the best goaltenders in the OHL and gets his own rebound. And you can just see, the whole team loved it. Just getting to see a Van Vliet who's obviously not known for his offensive prowess, but a fantastic move, and they needed that. Again, against this team, you'll take anything. 5 on Ivan Kovic is not going to happen very often. I would love to know the amount of games over the last last month, that have had 5-goal nights against Ivan Kovic. So that was fantastic, and great feed by Zada to notice Van Vliet up in the play, and I don't think we're going to see that very often.
No, and that was the first of many points for Ethan Zada in this game. Later in the second period, it was a nice passing play finished off by Ethan Zada. Him and Mike Levin go back and forth there, cross ice, and Mike Levin gives it back to Ethan Zada, who buries his first goal of the night, 8th of the season, to give the IceDogs a 2-1 lead.
See, now this was these next 2 goals, honestly, they were the prime example of how much Zada has improved. So on the breakout, Brampton tries to break the puck out, and Zada reads that it's a cross-ice play on the breakout, intercepts the pass in the high slot, gives it back to Levin, and fantastic move by Levin to give it back. Because
he's usually the shooter.
Exactly, and not to mention, in that sequence, it was literally a 2-on-0. And Levin gives it right back to Zada, so a nice give and go. But that whole play starts by a fantastic read for Zada to jump the pass. And again, great finish. This is something that we would see where he would make a decent defensive play, but then he just wouldn't be able to bury it, I think, last year or even earlier on in the season. And now we're starting to see some finish.
This is actually the 7th game Ivan Kovic has given up more than 5 goals in a game.
7. Interesting.
7. Yeah, he's had to bail this team out. Great offensive team, but they can be had in their own end, and it's showing here. But I just wanted to fact check on that one to make sure that Jack Ivan Kovic, he's, again, can't make all the saves, but when you're able to get 5 on a guy that might go first round in the NHL draft, that's a good start. And then the Steelheads battled back with 2 goals, one on the power play, which was just really unfortunate late in that second period. Blake Aerosmith gets caught up with a man in the offensive zone, gets called for a very questionable penalty. That's all we'll say about that. And Luke Misa takes advantage with 15 seconds left in the period to even it up. And then they actually get the goal to go ahead in the third period. Parker Von Richter gets that goal, and you're thinking, okay, are the Ice-Dogs going to be able to respond from this?
No, absolutely. That late goal in the second was really rough because it was 3-1. Zada just made a great goal, and now it's 3-1. And what a feed on the man advantage by I believe it was Rakoff at the point to find Martone, but just an unbelievable feed. And then Martone fakes the shot and sends it right back into the middle. So it's that's an elite play. That there was nothing that they could do on that. I can't believe that the pass got through to Martone, but that's why they are as good as they are. A great answer, obviously.
Yeah, and that was to get the game tied, on the Parker Von Richter goal. And then it was midway through the third period. The Ice-Dogs get a power play. I believe it was Kevin He that drew the penalty when he gained the zone and then got high-sticked in the face, just using his speed, being able to draw that penalty. And then an unbelievable play. He does get the secondary assist on it. Didn't originally, but they did give the secondary assist to Ethan Zada. And without him, that goal doesn't happen because of the forecheck that he's able to get the puck back behind the net, finds Andrew Wysick at the point, who finds Ryan Rubrick on the left dot, and he's able to get that shot past Ivan Kovic. But I remember when that goal happened, you immediately said, what a play by Zada to get the puck back.
Yeah, I believe he was hounded by both defensemen behind the net, and he was somehow he battled both of them off, and with one hand on a stick, fired it, somehow got it back to the point, and Wysick was able to send it over to Rubrick. But that whole thing happens because Zada is just a dog on it in behind the net, and again, that was one much like his other goal where he created the play because of a defensive or a tenacious forecheck effort. And that's the kind of power forward that we want to see out of him. We've seen the flashes of like the big hits and things like that, but those really stood out to me. And it's really ever since the last month or so, he's just been taking his game to another level, and that's really what we needed. And we mentioned it before. That's kind of the X factor. So great job. But by him there, but Robrick able to. It's funny when you get goal scorers like that in the area and in the situation that they are, and they just find a way. And Robrick buries when they needed him most.
20th goal of the year for Ryan Rubrick. Pretty incredible that he leads the team now in goals, tied with Kevin He in that category. But then it was late in the third period, and this was the Ethan Zada game. He gets the goal. Andrew Wysick kind of finds him down low there in the blue paint, and just a play that you expect Ethan Zada to be down in the tough areas, picking up the rebound. Second goal of the night, 9th of the season, 4th point of the night for the Ice-Dogs forward, who's going to be off to the OHL Prospects game in Brantford. Got named to the team yesterday. You can tell it gave him a little bit extra juice.
No, absolutely, and it was a great kind of cherry on top for him. This was a statement game. I feel like we've said it quite a bit over the last little while, but that second line is going to be extremely important over the next little while, and it continues to be once we get the power play set up, and we'll see how long Brody's out for, but hopefully he comes back shortly. As he ended up being the most offensive defenseman that we have, and that includes Wysick, who most of the time acts like a fourth forward. So extremely important, and a great finish to this one. It got a little tense at the end, but they played great and they were able to close it out.
Ivan Gallianov gets the secondary assist, and that was good to see because he was a guy that played. I feel like he played on every line tonight at one point. The way that Ben Boudreau was kind of shuffling the lines there in the middle period, we saw a little bit of a stretch where Max Crete was in and out of there, and then Ivan Gallianov, he was up. I don't know if it was just because of matchups or if it was just in the middle of a line change, but I felt like I saw Gallianov with almost every forward line tonight.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that it was. he's done that all season long, and he did that last year too. And we started the season in the press box, and once Ben Boudreau took over as head coach, he got in, and there was a game where he played first line center and played on the wing throughout. It was. And that's kind of the versatility of the lineup. But that's something that needs to be, they get settled down. And I think that Paris really settles the lineup down. And you don't realize how important he is until he's gone. And now once we get him back, like I said, there's going to be an awkward conversation. I don't know what happens there.
Yeah, there's going to be a healthy competition.
Exactly, yes.
Luke Misa got a late goal with the goaltender pulled there. And then the Steelheads called the timeout. But no goals after that. The IceDogs were able to hold the fort there with Owen Flores, no empty net goal, and they avoid not blowing this lead like they did against Peterborough, holding on.
Yeah, and again, this is something that we've said from the start of the season, that after having so many bad seasons, they don't know how to win. And what I mean by that is when you play with the lead, you've got to play a certain way. You've got to make it just an absolutely ruthless battle to get back into the game. You don't want to go into a shell, but you definitely just don't want to give anything up. And the IceDogs have had a hard time, some growing pains learning how to win, especially early on in the year. But they did a great job tonight against a team that was just coming at the end.
We're going to get more post-game reaction from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau, as well as Alex Assadourian on our player interview and Cam's player of the game right after the break. So stay right here. We'll be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Back after this.
In the Niagara region, Global Pet Foods is your destination for premium pet nutrition and caring expertise. Whether you've welcomed a new furry family member or need advice on top quality nutrition, their dedicated staff is ready to help. Discover why Global Pet Foods' lesser-known premium brands outshine the big corporate names. Their team's passion ensures your pet's health and vitality. Check out one of their locations today: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where premium brands and caring staff make the difference.
Celebrating a birthday, wedding, graduation, or just watching the big game, Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano is there to satisfy your pizza needs. Serving handmade Italian pizzas created with the freshest top quality ingredients, loaded subs, and their famous chicken wings. Platinum Award recipients of Community Votes Niagara for Best Pizza and Wings in all of the Niagara region 3 years running. Open 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week from their brand new location at 7156 Drummond Road in Niagara Falls. All payment options accepted to fit your convenience. Available for call-ahead pickup or delivery. Place your order today at 905-374-4400 or check out their online menu for the best quality pizza and wing combos you'll find in Niagara at carmine'spizzeria.ca. You've tried the rest, why not try the best? Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, proudly serving the Niagara community since 2013.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, Better Jobs Ontario information, and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
Fuel up your day with Gale's Gas Bars. They're your go-to gas stations in the Niagara region. Remember, at Gale's, they're not just a gas station. They're a local tradition. Whether you're hitting the road or staying cozy at home, choose Gale's. Gale's Gas Bars provide reliable fuel that keeps you moving. Stop in for quality you can trust and service with a smile. Don't settle for less. Head to Gale's Gas Bars today, because when it comes to fuel,
you're going to Gale's!
Learn more at gales.ca.
This is Kevin Heath. This is Brady Waslin. This is Ethan Zadek. This is Andre Loshko.
It's Owen Flores.
This is the Dog Pound Podcast,
the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert back with you, continuing to break down the IceDogs 5-4 victory over Central Division rival Brampton Steelheads here on a Friday night at the Meridian Centre. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in live tonight on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel, as well as those listening the next day in your favorite on-demand audio platform. So, Cam, before we get to IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau's post-game comments, the IceDogs got another big game against the Brantford Bulldogs coming up on Sunday before they go out on that big northern road trip, and we talked about how many road games they're going to be having here in the month of December. They've got the northern trip, they've got the Michigan trip after Christmas. So the fact that they're able to pick up some wins here on home ice, I think that's going to be big when they do go on the road, that hopefully they can stay at around 500 for a long road stretch in this month of December. And you kind of talked about that on the monthly recap, just being able to not have multiple game where they have losses in a row here.
No, absolutely. And like I said, I think the expectations for the team has changed from being, number 1 or 2 in the conference going into the playoffs to just trying to get a home ice advantage in the first round. So that would be at least 4th right now. They're 1 point back of Kingston with a game in hand. So with an opportunity on Sunday to see with Kingston losing tonight. But Sudbury's only 2 points back, and they have a game in hand. So that would be 5th and 4th jumping right there. So Niagara is getting chased down quite quickly. And on top of that, Brantford, who had a really bad start over the over the first month of the season, they're 6-3-1 in their last 10, and obviously a tough opponent for the IceDogs. Even this season, the IceDogs were able to finally get a win over Brantford for the first time since 2019, but haven't been able to do it on home ice yet. That's the thing. They did lose to them just recently, but you need to see them. It'd be great to end the strong stretch of home games in the first 2.5 months of the season before they go on this long road trip. But, all of these games are going to be important because, again, after the Christmas break, the trade deadline's, 2 weeks away? So that can,
January 10th.
Exactly. So that's about 3 weeks away. That can really change what happens. And we alluded to a little bit, again, some awkward conversations happen when, they determine if this is the team that they want to try with or if they want to look towards next year in the window they have there with Rubrick and Wasslin in their draft year. But, again, I think if they have a strong road trip, then that might lead credence to leaving things as they are and seeing what this team can do in the playoffs.
Make or break stretch here in December to see if they're going to be a team that looks to strategically add at the deadline or not. But with that, we'll get to our IceDogs post-game with IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau, brought to you by Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012 in honor of the late William Robert Hunter. Let's hear what the IceDogs head coach had to say following his team's victory against the Brampton Steelheads. Well, Coach, that was one of the performances that you'll probably be pleased with. A lot of storylines to go over. Alex Assadourian will start there with his first game since October 24th. Scores on his first shift. What did it feel like having AA number 8 back out there tonight?
I mean, it's just such a big difference. I mean, both on the penalty kill and both on the offensive side. I mean, you could see the difference he made on his very first shift. And at the end of the game, he was their best face-off guy, especially when we needed him there. Those were huge face-offs, even though they scored on the one. But his presence in the lineup can't really be measured. He's an energetic guy that's 19 years old. He plays with swag and confidence, and was a big addition for our lineup.
Ethan Zada just gets named to the Eastern Conference's team at the upcoming OHL Prospects game. Seemed like he had a little bit more jump tonight, maybe a little bit of motivation there, being named to something like that with some confidence, but 2 goals and an assist for number 12 tonight. Just seems like he continues to get better.
You know what? He surpassed his point total, 17 points last season. I think he did that in 22 games. Now we just played our 27th, and so he just keeps on going. But, our message was pretty simple, as we know that the World Juniors is one of the biggest deals in Canada, and they just came out with the roster, and the Steelheads, very respective to the 3 guys on their team, Porter, Rakoff, and Jack Ivakovic at the same time. 3 unbelievable players, and that they're going to get heavily recruited, and when they come into this building, you have a game, and they can end up finding a way to talk about Ethan Zada tonight. And it wasn't so much about Martone or Rakoff or those other guys, but Zada was the standout, and you can see why he got named to the prospect game. And he started the NHL season on the watch list, but I mean, he should have shot up the ranks. If anybody's seen his ability to skate, his play physical, win face-offs, and you you start adding the offensive production. I mean, he's the total package. So it's great to see him coming into his own right now.
And the defense, obviously going up against a formidable offensive juggernaut type team over there. You didn't have Jack Brody in the lineup tonight. So how do you think the 6 defensemen did tonight back there? Noah Van Vliet got in on a goal, which is nice to see from him. But how do you think the collective unit as a 6 did back there tonight?
I thought it was great. Everybody had a role to play, and I thought they were phenomenal. I mean, really, the only it was a 6-on-5. It was a penalty kill goal, and I mean, they got one lucky 5-on-5 goal throughout the game, and we battled hard. And really respect. It was a defensive effort. The last 10 games, we've given up 46 goals, so 4.6 on average. We kept it under that today and found a way to be the difference for the 2 points. So for us, defense comes first, which will end up creating some pretty good offense.
And you got the power play goal tonight. Just how big was that at the time of the game? You got some timely goals as well. I mean, you scored twice in the first 2 minutes of periods tonight. Just how big of a momentum changer is that when you're able to get the timely goals and be able to change momentum in games?
Yeah, we capitalized on the momentum, I thought. And, in times where, they tie it up, it's easy to sit back and then play on your heels because they have the momentum. But we went right back out and stole it. And, I thought it was a good, hard-working shift to draw the penalty and the great execution on the power play, great shot. So collectively as a group, we found a way to get it done. And, team success brings individual success. And like I said, that individual was Ethan Zada tonight.
Lastly, was there something that you learned up there in Brampton to be able to come back and win that game? I know it went to a shootout and you guys lost up there, but to come back against a team that you had lost to the last time and be able to come away with the 2 points, especially a division rival, how big is that for you, confidence-wise and in the standings?
Well, just huge for us to rebound after some of these losses. I think we had 2 wins in our last 8 or something like that, but just the way you win is way different, and the way you lose sometimes is way different, especially 7-2, or you lose against Peterborough but knew it was a good hard fought. So the thing I loved about tonight is systematically we bought in to a T for 60 minutes, and we found a way to win. So for us, I thought it was a really good game of guys buying into their roles and playing some really good hockey, and it's a great feeling to come to the rink after that win because, winning solves a lot of problems.
Thanks, Coach. See you on Sunday.
Thank you.
There was IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills auto repair postgame. Cam, pretty upbeat thoughts from the IceDogs head coach tonight. What did you think of the players that he brought up there?
No, I think we touched on it earlier. Again, Assadourian was the one that was out there when the face-offs mattered the most, and I'm glad to hear that he referenced that as well, and giving Zada his flowers. I think that's something that's really important. We talked about this last season, for the majority of the season, that once Kevin was to get drafted, that brings a little bit more spotlight to the rest of the team, and then it just kind of bleeds over. And I don't even know if we really thought about Zada. And again, he had a rough offensive season last year, right? It wasn't because Robrick was getting all of the attention, right? But now, I don't even know if we really put a ton of thought into Zada getting drafted. There's no way, just based on his size alone and the fact that he's got that offensive flair now. There's no way that he isn't drafted, and whether it's late or not, it's regardless. That's just another NHL drafted player from a team that from the scouting staff of the Niagara IceDogs, and again, that just kind of bleeds over into the further down. We're going to have the exact same situation next year. Waslin's going to get the spotlight, as is Robrick, but obviously with that late birthday, he's been on the radar for a couple of years now. But Crete's going to have the same situation as Zada did with Robrick. I think that, maybe in the shadow a little bit. He gets drafted late in the first, or late in the second round, or early in the second round, after Waslin's the first round pick, and I think that that's just going to keep going, and that's how you really build a winning team here, and not so much that, just they've said it all year. That's their mantra, is that team success brings individual success, and I think that's Zada is going to be very important for the rest of this season and also the next 2. So.
And I like that comment where he said Ethan Zada stood out in a game that included Porter Martone, Carson Rakoff, and Jack Ivankovic on the other side.
Exactly. That's a massive one. And again, that there's a lot of eyes on that, whether they're in the building watching them live, or you got to understand that the scouts aren't going to be at every single game in junior, but they're definitely paying attention, especially when they play or when they're watching Porter Martone, because there's about 5 or 6 teams that have a real shot at number 1 overall, and Porter Martone is up there to go first overall in the conversation. So I think that was a great point by him to point out, and I think that we saw the jump from the rest of the team.
We'll get to our Ice Dogs feature play interview tonight, brought to you by Cully's Original Sports Bar, proud supporter of Niagara IceDogs hockey. Whether you're gearing up for the game or celebrating a big win, Cully's is the place to be before and after IceDogs win. Matchup just a short walk from the Meridian Centre. Cully's, it happens here, and our chat is with returning forward AA Alex Assadourian. Back in the postgame with IceDogs forward Alex Assadourian. Alex, you haven't played since October 24th. 1, how did it feel to be back in game action? And 2, scoring on your first shift. I bet you couldn't have drawn that up any better.
Yeah, obviously I was excited to go. Good chip out by Dortz. It was a great play, and I was lucky enough to sneak that in. So, yeah.
You've been practicing for a couple weeks, trying to get back in the footing of things. What do you think was the biggest adjustment for you, and how do you think that you were as the game went on, just trying to get back in that game shape?
Yeah, obviously there's nothing like game shape. You could bag as hard as you want in the gym or in practice, but once the puck drops, it's a completely different game, and I was starting to get used to it, and I'll be better next game. What
did you think you learned from sitting up top, from an overhead view? You can kind of see the game from a different lens. Is there anything that you'll take away from not being on the ice the last month or so and trying to see the game a little bit different?
Yeah, obviously I'm a student of the game. I'm learning at all times, and watching from up top, you see a lot of tendencies and see a lot of times where you have more space than you think and more time than you need. And yeah, just learning from up there is really important.
And you go up against a team like that in Brampton, your first game back, they got some formidable guys on offense, and you kind of, shut those top guys down, and you guys get a lot of contributions, 4 different goal scorers tonight. Just talk about the collective team effort tonight and coming away with the big 2 points in the division.
Yeah, it was awesome to see on the bench, of course, and awesome to be a part of that game. Everyone was pulling the rope. I wouldn't say one guy had a bad game or off day, and that's the key to success, right, is everyone pulling on the same rope, and that's how we're going to win hockey games.
IceDogs veteran forward Alex Assadourian. Alex, congratulations on the win and welcome back to the lineup.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There was IceDogs forward Alex Assadourian. First game back, scores on his first shift, gets a second start tonight in the building, and it's just been nice to see him back in the lineup. And Cam, we've been talking about it for the last month while he's been out of the lineup. Is just fun to see what the full lineup will look like for Ben Boudreau when he has all of his forwards at his disposal on his lineup card.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think that it made everyone fall into place and just made the offense that much better that you can roll 4 lines and not feel like you're just trying to survive a line when you've got, maybe 2 players that's, a handful of players that, are just there to, for bodies to give the other 3 lines a bit of a break. So great to have him back, and, we just got reminded real quick of how good of a hockey player he is.
And before we get out of here, we're going to put Cam on the spot, as always, with our stick tap of the game, brought to you by Hockey Stick Man. Pro stock hockey sticks from major junior teams, right up to the NHL teams for half the retail price. A stress-free shopping experience from start to finish. Check them out at hockeystickman.ca to join their mission of saving hockey families money. Cam, I know you like to go off the board tonight, but would Ethan Zada be your player of the game?
Yeah, he is 100%. And we've done, there's certain games where it's just there's no way to not pick one player, and this was definitely an Ethan Zada game. And like I mentioned when we went over the scoring summary, the way that he is creating offense is hard work, and it's just really impressive. They've got some snipers on the team that are going to be able to finish now, as opposed to the last 2 seasons maybe, and Zada's going to fit right in there perfectly. I do want to talk quickly about two other individuals. One, Owen Flores. This game isn't a win without the first period, and specifically that first 5 minutes. He is just so rock solid, and we just forget, and I think sometimes take for granted that he's just always in the net and rarely ever has an off night. Whether he's got to get an IV to go 3-3 or what. Like it's just incredible. And the last one is Noah Van Vliet. I always love talking about the non-box score things, and obviously the box score was actually full of Van Vliet tonight because of that nasty breakaway he had. But there was a sequence where he finished a check on Zidlicki, and Zidlicki's a harder player to go up against. Really hard nosed for the Steelheads, and Zidlicki held on to him a little too long, and just with one hand just throws him to the ground. And this is all happening behind the play. There's no penalty. It was just a funny sequence, and he's got a smirk on his face while the play is at the other end of the ice. But it's only something that you would see if you were here watching it live. And it's always funny watching how physical. And like I said, he's the sheriff. That's all. That's what he does. And he was all over the ice tonight in Brody's absence. He really stepped up, I think. So shout out to him. But tonight was definitely about Ethan Zada, and my goodness, did he deliver.
and the whole decor stepping up in Jack Brody's absence, and all 6 of them playing a collective effort. 9 different Ice Dogs had points tonight as well.
I don't know how many games that we've had over the last 3 seasons where 9 players have had points. And this was just the first game and we still don't have the full lineup, So really fun and just so much needed after the last 2 games specifically, because man, were those were last season vibes. Just a couple of tough games, and this one really was able to right the ship. So great by them, and a great effort at home.
They got all the depth scoring. In a game where Kevin He and Andre Loshko don't get a point, they still put up 5 and they still get a victory. So that shows that they have the depth and they're not just relying on their top 2 NHL drafted players every single night. So that's nice to see in that sense.
Yep, they're battling and they're hanging on, and now they've got to go up against this has got to be their biggest non-division rival in the Bulldogs. So my goodness, I'd love to see them win. Like that. It's just been tough against them, and they always give a fantastic game. So if you want to watch some great hockey this Sunday, we get a fantastic 2 p.m. game on Sunday. So excited to get back at it, and then they go on that insane road trip.
Absolutely. So the Bulldogs are in town Sunday afternoon. That'll be our next program following that game, and then we'll be off for a little while, and we'll try to figure out the content for you guys after that. But regardless, Ice Dogs 5, Steelheads 4 on another Niagara Ice Dogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara Ice Dogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all 4 of their great Niagara region locations. Thanks to everybody that tuned in live tonight on the Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel, and those who listen the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. So for Cam Halbert, my name is Brandon Caputo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you again Sunday night following the game against the Brantford Bulldogs.